Cool. All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Me versus Me podcast. I'm here with Alan. You want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. My name is Alan. Good to be here with you guys.
Awesome. So Alan is actually one of the electricians that we use at the company. Very nice guy, and he's super professional. The reason why I wanted to bring him on the show is because he has a couple qualities that I feel like would be very valuable. So he is an electrician, licensed. He also works for real estate.
Yeah, I'm a realtor myself. Yes.
What is the difference between a realtor and um someone who like works in real estate?
Well, a realtor has been it's associated with the National Realtors Association, and like a regular agent will not have that title. Um, we have to sign up to like strict code of ethics. So that our service is higher level per se, because of the commitment uh, to those to that code of ethics.
I see, I see. And so like because a couple of the things that I want to talk about on the show were obviously concerning like some of the things that maybe you feel like would be very valuable for people in like let's say my generation to already start working on, or some
Okay.
of the things that they should be paying attention to when it comes to real estate.
Okay, so there's different aspects of the real estate industry. One of them is getting ready to buy a home, and then just setting up for future equity. And then there's the investor side of it too, where you can buy a home, flip it. We call it buy and hold when you don't flip it within a year, when you don't resell it within a year. So that's a buy and hold situation. That means that you're gonna buy it, hold it for at least 5 or 10 years, and then resell it, and then you get the profit from the equity, which is almost guaranteed in any market.
I see. And you've explained this to me before, but I wanted to ask you. So like let's say for example, you're a young dude in your like mid 20s or something. You've been working really hard at whatever job that you have, and you saved up like 10 grand, maybe 20 grand. But you've been watching a bunch of social media TikTokers, influencers, and all that stuff, and they're talking about investing in this, doing Airbnbs. Do you feel like that's a very lucrative way to go, or is there more of a catch to it than just those
Well,
details?
see, when it comes to that, I think your approach is the right approach. Talking to somebody that's fully licensed and experienced in the matter, because a lot of people are on the internet saying different things that are not really true. But the industry is very profitable. You know, now $10,000 will get you. You would have to join or have a group of investors, you know, and have guidance from a professional, you know. So what people do when they don't have enough money, to buy their first home, they go in a group of 4 or 5 people, and what it is that there's a threshold where the bank will lend you the rest of the money, right?
Hmm.
So if you gather 30% of a home, uh, the bank will, private individuals will actually lend you money, like 70% of it. So, they want that 30% as your skin in the game, you know, so that, you're not going to just walk out and leave the project, right? So, um, you don't have to start with a high price home. You could start with something that's 150, 200. The profit is going to be you know according to what the price level that you're in, right? So you can start with that. You can gather 5 people, invest $10,000 each, and you can start off like that, right? Mm-hmm.
So you guys, if you guys want to just like double up with a couple buddies, you guys can make it happen too. I mean, so there's a lot of guys, right? And I think they call it like, okay. So I saw this video on TikTok, and
Sure.
the guy's basically talking about how he doesn't sell the houses themselves. He'll basically sell the paperwork
Mm-hmm.
from the homeowners to the actual like
Yeah,
companies that.
that's another approach to it. What it's called is it's like a spread, the spread profit. So what he does is he gets the listing or he talks to the homeowner, and immediately he has a buyer for that homeowner. But the margin of profit is not as much as when you flip the home yourself, right? So let's say I would say that he could just be making maybe about $5,000 or $10,000 on that resale, and most homeowners will do that, will agree to that because they now they have a buyer, like a real buyer for their home,
Right.
right? And so they don't mind going with that. That's another approach to real estate. You can do that. You basically you're getting paid for you know ha, meeting the buyer and the seller and the homeowner. So yeah.
And so, okay, so that's a real life thing. So you
Yeah, it
can
is.
do that.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Yeah. Because at first I thought, I was like, dude, what is this? I'm just scrolling on TikTok.
Right. Yeah. Well. Yeah.
You never know
Well.
with those
You
guys.
have to really know what you're doing. You have to be a trustworthy person. Of course, you gotta let the homeowner know that that's how much profit you're making. Right.
Of course.
Yeah. And so it's a quick sale because he already has the buyer. So as long as he's truthful and he does have the real buyer, then there's people that do that.
Okay.
Hmm.
So I guess let's say, all right, cool. So you found a couple buddies, right?
Hmm.
And a couple buddies, they all have like 10 grand, maybe 20 grand here and there.
Hmm.
Now you would say that they should go talk to somebody like you, right?
Yeah. You always have to. There's a lot of influencers out there, but you have to go with somebody that's licensed. That's been doing it for a while, right? And that will know the obstacles that you're going to be facing, because it's not just coming in. Okay, so in a few months we're gonna sell it. You have to analyze the market. You have to analyze how much you can sell the home for before you actually buy it.
Right. So you have to
Yeah,
do research.
yeah, you have to do research. So you run a we call it a CMA, a competitive market analysis, and then you say, okay, so these homes are selling for this much, right? And then you're shooting for a difference on that high, right? So you want to go the next step up on the price. So depending on the quality of the work that you do to the home, you get the money back. But if it's something that's not up to par with the competition, then you just might just barely make it. Just not your profit line is not going to be as much.
Right. So let's say you and these buddies, you guys go to a realtor,
Hmm.
and he's helping you guys conduct the research.
Right.
Like, where do you want to buy your home at?
Yeah.
What state, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So now we're talking about renovating the house.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
at that point, you can basically do the work yourself, or you can take it
Right. Yeah.
to any contractor.
Yeah. So what people do is they'll buy the home. Some of them have seems like if they've done it a few times, they might have some cash stashed away, which is cheaper, right? Because they don't have to pay an interest rate on it. So what they do is they put their 50,000, $100,000 into the home, and then they get a loan, and it's called a rehab loan. It's a high interest loan, but it's a short term loan, so it'll be for a year max, right? So most people will come in, buy the home, rehab it, and resell it, in 4 to 6 months. That's the maximum that you want to hold the home for, right? And then you're paying a little bit of a high interest on the private money or hard money that you get. Hmm. But that's how it's typically done.
And so I guess that answers my question.
Hmm.
And I guess it's just rinse and repeat like as many
Oh
times.
yeah, yeah. It's like a good resale expert will do maybe 2 to 4 or 5 homes per year, you know, and then not a lot of profit on each home depending on what price range he's at, right? But it's profitable. Hmm.
I like that. I like
Hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you had mentioned that at one point, and I believe it was like the 1980s. You said
Mm-hmm.
that people were actually getting approved for loans, and that it actually ended up messing up the market. Um, for reasons I can't really remember. I can't place my finger on it now.
What happened? What happened back? That was back into early 2000. Um, People were not being screened properly, you know, so that the bank would lend the money to people that were basically lying on their application, and there was no verification of their income. And so what happened is that home prices went up, because of that, because the banks were lending, left and right, basically. And so most people will need a home. It's a basic human need, right? So
Right.
people did whatever they had to do to qualify for the loan, but they were not able to pay the mortgage, right? So they got a lot of subprime, uh, loans, meaning that it's not the conventional standard loan where everything is has been screened, checked properly, right, to make sure that that person is making that much money to qualify for that much of a mortgage payment. They were not doing that, right? But everything has changed. Everything that caused the recession that we had back in 2006, 2000, all the way up to like 2010, right? And so some people took advantage of that. Some people lost money, some people made money,
Yeah.
during that period, right? But one thing that people need to do is be realistic with themselves. You can't really lie to yourself. When you do that, that's when everything goes south, because that's what happened. People were thinking that they could afford these homes when they couldn't, and it still happens today. I mean, if somebody wishes for a high price home or something that is beyond their capabilities, right? They'll end up the same way, right? But it's very far in between now, because the banks will actually check, the paperwork, and they'll actually call the company that they work for to guarantee, to make sure that it's a real thing, So home prices will not go down because of that, because the rules changed. You see, back then I didn't have my license back then, so I was not one of the culprits promoting that.
It
And I'm
wasn't
and I'm
you.
I'm, I'm glad it wasn't me. I wouldn't never do that. You have to be honest with your client more than anything. It's basically it's one of the codes that we have. I have be as truthful and honest to your client as possible, and just guide him the proper way. When you do that, you get repeat business, and that's what keeps you going.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, and it's like in any business, right?
Yeah.
Because you always want to make sure you're taking care of your
Oh yeah.
clients. You're maybe even introducing them to like potential hazards, and then like obviously like guiding them away from
Oh
that.
yeah, 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 yeah. It's a fiduciary, relationship.
Fiduciary.
Yeah,
How do you
exactly.
spell that? No, I'm just
Yeah, it's a so yeah, that's what you want to do. Basically in everything that you do in life, family relationships, customer relationships, client relationship. And so when you do that, then you have plenty of repeat business, where you don't really need to market yourself or spend money on any sort of marketing or advertising. Um, you have plenty of work, so that's what you want to do. The minute you do that, people will actually grow attached to you, and you'll have a friend for life, a client, or a friend, if you'll have a good standing relationship with them for a long time.
correct. Um, and so one thing I also want to address is he doesn't only do like real estate. Like, there's more aspects about the man. Like, he's also an electrician, and he's the owner of the company. He runs everything. We conduct business ourselves. So he's actually implementing the stuff that he's talking about, more fronts than just one, right? But what he's giving you is really great advice to, let's say, if you are in real estate and you do plan on keeping these customers, or like let's say you want to expand your network, well, guess what? The best way for you to do that is by using the clients that you already have, satisfying them, keeping them happy, and then they're just gonna refer whoever it else. Oh, I know a guy. How about we use Alan or Richie, and then we're just gonna send him all of the referrals, and
Mhm.
then that's kind of like what that other
Yeah,
good.
yeah. So I have currently I'm selling a duplex for this young lady, very nice young lady, and it's her fourth transaction.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, when you have that, it's gratifying. We started when she was 24. She's now 34, and her profit line is upwards of $600,000 already.
Dang.
So yeah, when you do that, and people see the benefit of that, they want to continue to do business with you. And so I could tell you of a few other clients that I've helped, where they use the money to retire, or they want to continue investing if they're young enough. you know it depends on the cycle of life, with of the period of the stage of the cycle of life they're going through. you know First time buyers mainly are people that are just getting married, growing a family. Retirees are people that are sometimes empty nesters. Their kids have grown and are on their own now. And so you see all those situations, life experiences that you get with your clients, and you can help them. The bottom line is you're offering the best that you can do for them, and sometimes it's just guidance. Sometimes they'll just call you to ask how the market is doing, what the next step is for them. Some people want to hold off on being on the market. Some people have plenty of equity, and they want to move the money, keep some of the money, move it or reinvest it. So there's all these things you see. And so when you have a there's people like me that have two licenses, like two different professions. And so you can be on the inside, right? You can be on the inside and guide them as to what the market would want, on the decor, or the design of the home, what's trending out there. Let's say back in the 90s, there was a like that, it's not navy blue, but it's a soft blue. The homes were being painted with that color, and you could tell that homes that are that color were actually rehabbed or built or remodeled in the 90s. Now we had that.
Kind of like a telltale, right?
Yeah, like a tell. Yeah,
Oh
exactly,
yeah.
like a tell sign. Like today is like white on black trims.
Yes. We
That's
do a lot of
trending.
those, by the way. Shout out Pure Energy Construction.
There you go. Yeah, that's what's trending. There was a time where back in 2000s, it was a tan type of brown, and so you could tell just right off the bat when you saw a home like that, is it's been remodeled.
Yeah.
So when you see a home, white with black trims,
Collection, yeah.
you say so it's a newer home. Something's been done to it. So you get that as you continue to do business. People that have an inside trade, which is it could be a designer, it could be somebody that's on the inside of the construction of a home, or a building, or a unit, right? And it's really helpful for people when you have that, right? Because you're in and out of a lot of homes, and you pick after what you see and what's new. And so, something that's new will actually bring a higher price, you know just like anything.
Fascinating.
Mhm.
I think that there's a lot of details that can also like affect the mentality of a salesperson, right? Like
Yeah.
let's say like what you're looking for. Inevitably, you're looking for like those multi-tentative sales,
Yeah.
but it's very appropriate. It's super in the conversation to sell a house to like maybe a first time home buyer. But let's switch it up a bit, right?
Hmm.
Let's say you're the person who's buying that house for the first time.
Hmm.
What are some of the do's and don'ts that you could recommend to people out there who are just like, currently thinking about searching for a home, and but
Okay.
they're hearing things about like PPP loans. They're hearing things about like this and that. Like,
Okay. So basically,
don't get scammed, guys.
yeah. So be connected with the good realtor. Somebody that, like you say, uh, you don't find a see. Real estate is basically a relationship business, right? So you got to go with somebody that you trust, you truly trust. Now there's a lot of things, there's a lot of people saying things that are not necessarily true. So you buy a home whenever you're ready, right? You get prepared for that. You work hard, you save the money, you work on your credit, and so you're ready. You're basically ready. So what I mean by that is that if you're ready to buy the home, and like currently the interest rates are like in the sixes or sevens, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they used to be like a few years back they were like three or four or even twos. But guess what? Um, Owning a home is 80%, like always, almost 80% of the time is better than renting in the long run, right? Because it gets you equity. You know, you could rent for some time as long as you're paying like low rent, and it's staying there. Then you're ahead. You're ahead of the game, right? Because
It makes
yeah,
sense.
it makes sense. Sometimes it makes sense to rent, but if you have the money and you want to create that equity, just throw yourself out there and you just lose the fear. Um, as long as you're able to make afford the home, right? And you buy whenever you're ready, because what happens is that people there's no perfect setting, but the perfect setting
True.
to yeah the perfect setting to buy a home is whenever you're ready. Even if the interest if even in the, if even if the rate is high, you buy whenever you're ready, because what happens is that life happens, and sometimes people have emergencies, right? Things that happen to them, you know, where they have to use the money that they saved up for the home. And now it's going to take them another 2 or 3 years to save up to be at that point, right? So you don't want to risk it. You want to make sure that you have enough to make the down payment that you need so that your monthly payment is affordable, right? And the bank will not let you go above the threshold. Is I think it's 44% for FHA and 40% for conventional, or a little bit higher, somewhere around there. So what I mean by that is the bank will get will make sure that you can afford the home, that you're not really struggling to make the payment. But if people hear all these things, they get filled with fear, and fear will not let you do anything.
Correct.
And so you don't want to use the money that you have saved for a home, and all the time that it took you to prepare for that, and just let it slide. You want to make the move, because rents will actually increase. And why do rents increase? Because the cost of maintaining a building or an apartment unit, it goes up every year. The tradespeople that provide the services for the landlord will actually be charging more every year.
You guys hear that? Pay
So
attention.
rents will never stop going up. That's never going to happen. Now you could keep a low rent if you've been there for a while, right? And you have a good relationship with the landlord, and you have a very you have a relationship with where the it's almost like a family relationship when you're staying at a place for so long, and he feels for you.
Yeah.
But he does.
Familiarity.
Yeah, exactly. But it does cost him a lot of expenses too, because things
Yeah.
break. Things break. A water faucet will break. Water lines will break. So you want to make sure that you make the move. And you don't have to wait to be married to buy a home. See, most single people will say, "Oh, but if I buy it and I get married, they'll take 50%." Well, you don't go into a marriage that like that, and it's not true. If you buy your home while you're single, you're on the title by yourself, because anything that you acquire before you get married, and even while you're married, and even after you can separate yourself from title. But you don't go into a relationship like that. You know that it's not a business relationship. It's a you want to grow a family. You want to spend the time with the person that you love. So don't be afraid. If you're single, you can buy your whatever you can afford. Be a condo. It's a tiny home. And then you get married. Whatever you acquire as a married couple, then you place or you can just add your wife or your spouse to a title. But most people are afraid of that. It's a holdback for a lot of people. So you just have to throw yourself and then just lose the fear. you know
Right. And so a lot of decision making is actually from impulses,
hmm
right? Like they say that there's a statistic in sales that most of the sales that people like actually um most of the transactions that people actually like do are impulse buys.
yeah,
So I feel like when it comes to real estate, is that still a true metric?
yeah, it is. I mean, it's the major purchase that it's the most expensive purchase that people will make, but it's the one that's going to bring them the most value and the most profit at the end. So everything, when you buy something, you doubt yourself every time. You know,
Yeah, or you have remorse after.
yeah, you have buyer's remorse, but it's typical. No matter what the market is doing, owning is always good. Always, as long as, like I say, as long as you have a reserve, and you're financially stable, you know, and you make a responsible purchase. You know.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just looking at the live right now.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's always buyer's remorse when you buy a car. You doubt yourself after a few weeks after.
You're
It's
like,
like then you see,
should I
then you see another car that's better looking than yours.
You're like,
Yeah,
damn, I should have got that.
then you say I could have waited, or I should have got that, right. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the same basic. And so, but as time goes by, you realize that it's worth it. It makes sense.
Right, because it's an asset,
It is an asset.
and then and it's a tangible asset.
Yes. You're
D-
buying something that goes up in value, not down.
exactly, and so like there's a couple other things that actually increase in value. I remember, I have a buddy, uh, and he was telling me about watches.
Okay.
He
Yeah.
was telling me how watches like accrue, or
hmm
they actually retain
hmm hmm
their
Yeah.
values.
hmm hmm
So let's take a step back from this, and then just I, I feel like we jumped right into it again. We'll get back to it, but I was
Sure.
gonna say that so maybe let's talk about a little bit more about you.
Sure.
Like
Uh-huh.
what kind of things do you like to do?
Okay.
Let's get to know a little bit more about Alan.
Sure. Sure. Well, I used to play soccer a lot. I like watching and playing soccer.
Okay, what
Uh,
position?
I used to be forward, a striker, and midfield. Left, right wing. hmm
Nice,
hmm
nice. You used to play on a team?
I used to, yeah. Well, not. I didn't make it to like the major leagues, like you say, but yeah, it was in a team. Yes.
Okay. And so like but like other than that, do you still go to like play games at the park?
Not ever since I pulled a muscle, and so it's been hurting. It's getting better, but yeah, I enjoy light play on soccer. Yeah.
He probably plays dirtier than everybody. He's just like he's like light. Let's keep it light, y'all. Everybody's light.
Yeah, yeah. I want to ask you something.
Yeah.
What do you do? Um, what got you here, right? And what are your future plans?
What I do, what got me here, what are my future plans? So what got me here, it's kind of a bit of a long story, but I'll make it a short one for you guys. So originally, I was inspecting power poles in Fresno,
Okay.
and I had just been assigned delineation, which means that we were the ones who were actually tasked with putting the tracking numbers onto
hmm
the pole,
hmm
and we had to stay out at these places for like months at a time sometimes. And at the time, I was living with some family members, and they saw that I wasn't really happy. So initially, I was like, "Nah, it's cool. Don't worry about it." But they were like, "Hey, if you want to just like quit or something, you can leave. We'll take care of you." And then so I was like, "You know what? That doesn't sound like a bad idea." So I jumped on it, right?
Okay.
Because I felt like something, and then this is where it's kind of gonna get crazy, but like I
Mm-hmm.
felt like something was pulling me, right? And me myself, like I always talk about God. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you see
Mm-hmm.
me on my social media, my TikTok,
Mm-hmm.
like one thing I'm gonna always do is give glory to God.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember at one point in my life where I was inspecting these power poles, and I was
Mm-hmm.
literally at the top of this, like there was like this winery, and it
Mm-hmm.
was just like out in the sticks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I remember like talking to God, right? And this is before I actually had the relationship with him. I just,
Mm-hmm.
I would talk to him from time to time, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, you know
Mm-hmm.
what? Like it's crazy how I have
Mm-hmm.
such a good position,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm making all of this money that, like, I think I was only 24 at the time. I was like, dude, I'm a foreman. Like I got
Mm-hmm.
hellified,
Mm-hmm.
credentials. Like I'm doing really
Yeah,
great.
you were doing good.
But I was like, but I stopped making music,
Mm-hmm.
and I always thought that I was like, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe like I remember saying like maybe you can do something about that for me, guy.
Sure.
Fast forward some time, I'm staying with the family members. I lose that job. This company actually reached out to me. It was Tom.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, hey, you know what? You want to come work at us? And at first I was like, nah, like I'm probably gonna go work somewhere else. And
Mm-hmm.
he's like, no, 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 I insist. Like, like let's what do they offer me? Like, have that whole
Sure.
conversation.
Sure. Sure.
So that's what got me into construction,
Okay.
right? And I was pretty transparent. Like I've always had leadership
Yeah. Yeah.
positions
Yeah.
where I was able to like take a team,
Mm-hmm.
train them, build them
Mm-hmm.
for whatever desired task that we had.
Mm-hmm.
But I was very green in construction. I
Okay.
had no experience whatsoever.
Okay.
So, uh, you know, but it did free up my time a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and I was able to start get back into music.
Mm-hmm.
So 2018, I started recording music again,
Okay.
and now I'm actually going to the studio. I'm making songs.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple songs on my profile that like
Mm-hmm.
tell the
Mm-hmm.
story on that.
Sure.
And then I always knew that I was never scared to do somebody else's dream. Somebody else's dream never scared me,
Mm-hmm.
but it was in fact my own dreams
Mm-hmm.
that drove me wild. Like,
Mm-hmm.
hey,
Mm-hmm.
bro, you always write songs. You're always rapping. Why don't you just record your music and put it out there?
Mm-hmm.
But I could go freaking walk down this trail where there's like lions, tigers, and bears,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and then have no fear. Like,
Right.
so fast forward to that. Now I'm at these shows, performing in front of people, putting myself out there, which was really tough, you guys. Like if you guys are ever thinking about, taking a big step and challenging yourself because there's something that you really want to do in life, I say go for it because you're never gonna know on the other side. Plus, sometimes there's just things that you see once you're there that truly start to like shift your mind into like, oh, maybe it's gonna be all bad. No, like you're gonna see that sometimes it's really all good. Like, but once you're there, you have to step into that in order for it to be part of the conversation in your head. So I'm in these shows, people are liking my music, cool. I start doing more and more of them, and then now I'm at the situation where it's like, okay, cool, I'm making music. So I started making content because I wanted to be able to market my
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
my music and then
Mm-hmm.
have like a little bit of an audience going.
Sure.
And I remember like talking to God throughout this
Mm-hmm.
entire time,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know why, but stuff just started clicking and started making sense.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, now that I say it out loud, I know why. It was God.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You know what? I'm a Christian too.
Same.
And God is real. God is real. There's many things that happen to people that it's is the work of God acting on miracles. When people seek God, they'll find Him, and He'll do something for them. Well, they'll verify of His existence. And so there's comedians out there that have asked Him directly. God, if you're real, do a sign for me, show me something. And there's this comedian that he said that he opened the Bible, right? He said these things and he opened the Bible and his name was there. And so he said, well, if that's real, then let me see that and he, that I can, find it again, right? And so he opened it and there was his name again. So he started changing the way he he lived his life. So yeah, God is real. Yeah, it's that's the only thing that's real. We can count on the sun going up, and and having all these things that we need to survive. So, and it's not, nature is part of that, but there's somebody that's behind that.
Yeah, and I always have this conversation with my friends, right? Because they know, like, I'm not religious, but I have the relationship with God,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm always like, yo, Jesus is my guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus is Lord, my Lord and Savior. God
Mm-hmm.
resurrected him on the
Yeah, yeah.
third day, and so when I say that to people, there's a predisposition in their mind already trying to like, okay, let me just try to weed this guy out, like, or you go to
Yeah,
church, what do you go
because
to the?
they think that you're gonna judge them. You know.
No, yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, and so people shy away from that because of the unknown. The
Mhm.
unknown. People, we are visual human, beings, and we tend to verify things with our eyes, and so that's where people they have doubts. They have doubts, but we have, there is our body, there is our soul, and there's the living spirit within us, right?
Mhm.
And we don't see that, but people without their spirit, the body can't function, right? So,
Right.
and we don't see that, but we know it's there, right? So yeah, this is the same thing. It's very normal for people to doubt, you know but it's real. Hmm.
Yeah, and so I have no shame in my game. I usually address this like all the time to whoever, you take a
Hmm.
look at my TikTok media. All these
Hmm.
guys know, all I do is post about God and glorify
Hmm.
God,
Hmm.
and Jesus Christ.
Hmm.
So I think that I've also had some pretty real testimonies in my life
Hmm.
where it's shocking to
Hmm.
people because, if you knew the before, you would probably trip out on the after. Like,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
that's why I tell people I don't judge.
Hmm.
Because I mean, obviously you have to have like some discernment about the
Hmm.
company that you keep and stuff. There's
Hmm.
decisions that need to be
There you
made.
go.
But I would say that it's not me judging you as a person and that like looking up like I have some sort of like righteousness over you or some sort of
Right.
authority.
Yeah.
It's more like me understanding what position that puts you in, and
Hmm.
then me being able to show a little bit of empathy about like,
Right.
dude, I
Yeah.
know,
Understand their situation and help them.
yeah, like
You
there's no
just
fulfillment in that. You
right.
you you
Exactly.
can't fill the void like that.
Hmm.
It's just gonna keep accepting whatever you throw at it, and
Right.
it'll give you little spurts
Yeah.
of joy, but it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's not sustainable that way.
Yeah. 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 No, it's you know, there's evidence of Jesus coming to Earth and things like that. There's
Yes.
evidence of the history of the Bible. Actually, the history of the world is verified through the Bible. There's things that people didn't know back then that were already in the Bible. Like, there's this prophet that said the roundness of the earth, where people in the old age, like in the old ages, they thought that the world was flat
Yeah,
and
it's flat.
square. And there's this
Yeah.
prophet saying, the roundness of the earth. So like the information was already there. So there's a lot of things that verify his existence. And it's good for people to be able to lean on him, and because we all need that guidance. We all have fear. We all have uncertainty in our lives. Nothing is realized out of the blue. There has to be an effort, a human effort, right, to be able to accomplish your goals. But through your way, you know uh, through your way to your, like, through, as you make the necessary moves to accomplish those goals. There is doubt, that you go through. There is uncertainty, you know that where you need to lean on not just a friend. Sometimes you need that extra help. you
Yeah,
know
and the Bible says like someone closer than a friend.
yeah, there you go. Exactly. So, it all takes, it only takes you trusting, that he's there, right? And then things will happen. So yeah, yeah, it's there's no shame on that. It's reality. Mhm.
And one thing I also want to bring up, because I know that like for the people who hear this and they're like, oh, they're just talking about God. Like, I want to also clarify that us as Christians, us as people, we make mistakes. We all fall short to the glory of God. What does that mean? That means that it took God coming down in a very special way and helping us all out in one of the worst ways to die. right? Because to die on the cross was considered a curse back in the day. So for him to come down and die in like one of the most tragic ways, and also accept that, and do it for the love of us and our sins, well, hey, guess what? Now we have access to God. We're far from being able to, but it's just something that he did out of love. So it's like all of us are in that same category. None of us are closer to God than than anybody else. We're all equal, and it was because that we're never going to be able to fulfill that's why God had mercy on us. So with that being said, sometimes you have to kind of like take a step back and be like, you know what, that guy who's down the street, who's down on his luck, is the same as that preacher who's in the church right there, right? Both should be, treated with respect, with compassion, like, love your neighbors as you love yourself.
Yeah, sure.
You should definitely also consider the fact that Jesus loved people, and that is a real good reflection of how you should also love people. But it ain't easy to do. And I say that to you because this is why I want to bring the conversation here.
Mm-hmm.
Is because you can try your hardest, but you'll never be perfect.
Right.
And then for the people who are barely getting into it, they're like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm never going to be perfect.
Yeah.
But it's not about being perfect. It's about just trying to pick up your cross and walk with it. And I'll go further into detail right now, but it's like we're all going to we just have to keep making attempts. It's not like it's something that you're just going to figure out, have unlocked, and then now you're better than everybody. It's like,
Yeah, you improve every day. Nobody's is born running, right? I always
right.
say nobody. You have to be a baby. You have to crawl. You have to walk. Get all your body skills to be able to run. So you learn each and every day, right? And so yeah, I mean, people. I what I advise people is that you have to be able to trust a higher power. You know,
Mm-hmm.
every single day. Even when we were preparing for a broker's exam, and even the teacher said, you know what, even if you don't believe in God, pray before you take the test. You see, so even if you don't, just pray, just trust that higher being, to help you, because there's things out there that people don't see. We don't know what's out there. Once we leave our home, we don't know what we're going to be facing, right? But you hope for the best, and that's a good way to feel safe and feel good about yourself. Just asking for that extra help.
Right. Excuse me. And another thing too is that God's timing, right? So if you can trust on something that's outside of you externally, that's always going to come through for you in the end. You can feel a little bit more secure in life when things don't pan out the way you thought they would. You just have to understand that there is a mechanism created by this higher power,
Mm-hmm.
and that's God. In the
Mm-hmm.
name of Jesus Christ, that's God. So he has a specific plan for all of us, and he always says that, like, trust his plan, because like his ways are not our ways, and our ways are not his ways, and that's for certain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to thrive and improve and do your best every single day, right? To be better, to be better. But that's not enough. Sometimes you just have to, like you say, you just have to shoot for that, trust him, and it's how you see things. You have to have that extra hope that you don't get from a friend, from a family member, or anybody that. Sometimes it's just things that come to you that make you realize, hey, something is acting on my behalf.
Oh yeah.
And things like that happen to a lot of people.
And it's always the unexplainable stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's always the stuff that, like, dude, when I tell someone about this, I'm gonna sound crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them about it, like, but
Mm-hmm.
also let them know who did that for you.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of business owners out there. I don't want to name anybody, but there's a lot of business owners that have changed the way they live their lives, and they have become very successful. Franchise owners, startups. And it doesn't have to be very high end or high level. It could be having a good tightly knit family, relationship with your kids, with your wife, with your colleagues at work or people that you meet. It's always good to have that, that relationship, that knowledge, or that trust in knowing that there's something out there that will actually, be on the lookout for you, and bring goodness to your life.
Have you ever felt like you've had any testimonies, like any situations where you
Oh
felt like,
yeah, oh
dude,
yeah,
this is out of my control. I don't know what's
yeah,
going to happen,
yeah.
and then
I
God comes
mean,
through.
you know, for the audience, basically, the root of your life is basically, being created, having a life cycle, right? Meeting your goals, or making, realizing your goals, right?
Hmm.
It being, being a going through life, graduating, becoming a professional, being a husband, a wife, being a good, so that's life cycle, So yeah, there's plenty of things that happen to me, and I don't want the audience to think that it's just, but it's basically the heart of that's the hardcore of human beings. We were made to have that connection with God. We were made to that. And so that's why people sometimes they go through a longing period. They know what they're, they don't know what they're seeking. They don't know what they're missing, right?
Hmm.
Because and we're made to worship, and so, but worship God. And we tend to worship, a good soccer player, you know a singer, an idol, right?
Yeah.
We tend to idolize him, and that's our nature. That's we were made that way. We're created to be that way. But it's more,
Fascinating.
yeah, that's why we go through that, that seeking, a stage, and we don't know. Sometimes people fill it with pleasure. Sometimes they fill it with food, what have you, but there's no need for that. And so there's plenty of things that not just me, people have gone through, life experiences. um, I could say, I could tell you, about 2 days ago, 2 or 3 days ago, I there was a financial goal that I had that day. And when I woke up, I said, oh, I have to do this. There was something that was pending that I needed to get done. I said, well, I could do this. It was something that I had that I wanted to sell. But that it's a scarce item. That people needed, and I had it. I bought it, and I didn't use it, right. And I had it, and I was just sitting there, and I said, well, I can do this today. So, and I prayed, and so I went out and I asked somebody if they wanted that item. They said, "Yeah, sure. Well, I'll buy it from you." And the person that they had kept it for me, because I was just, trusting him that he was going to sell it, and he didn't get back. He'd get back to me. So I said, I went to this person that had it, and I said, you know what? I'm picking up the item. It's like, oh, we sold it already. So that day, I was able to realize a gain of 1,900,
Oh.
$1,900 that single day. And so there was another, I could tell you about a month ago, I had the same thing, and that's for me, it's like a miracle, really,
Hmm.
because you get up, not no, you have a set income per se, right? You do, you have your hourly wages, you have your, things that you could sell, things that, like in my case, it's like I could have a contract, right, where I'm getting paid, after, the work is done, or I could have a sale where I'm getting a commission, right?
Hmm.
And I expect that, right? But there's things outside of that that actually bring, and it's not just financial gain. It could be, hey, you know what? Hey, I'm feeling better now. I'm not hurting anymore. Like, my leg is not hurting. I can breathe better. Things like that.
Yep.
So it's not just financial. It's just having that peace of mind that that things will go right for you. So this other day, about a month ago, it was the same thing. I'll recall exactly what happened. So anyhow, that day, I got a call, and it was a very simple call. But anyhow, I was able to provide excellent service. You know,
Hmm.
I just went the extra mile, and I was able to earn $1,600 that day. Yeah,
Sheesh.
yeah. So
Making them money moves.
yeah, so it's not just that. And it comes from having a that faith in him. You know, that certainty. You know, when you have uncertainty, he gives you certainty. And so, and you don't have to be doing illegal things. You don't have to be doing things that are wrong, lying to people.
No.
Just be your best. You know, do your best for people, and they'll open up and provide, you know, sales or what you know, buy your product, you know, or even recommend you to somebody. You know, so it doesn't happen every day. It's not like, you know, I get this every day, but those are just two things that I could tell you where I saw, you know, the work of his, you know, of his hands.
Yeah, you just
Exactly. Yeah.
over your
Just
situation.
keeping. Yeah. And so, you know, you do your best. You become good at what you provide, the service that you provide. Be it, you know, if you're a nurse, if you're a mechanic, you know, an auto mechanic, if you're a, you know, it could be an advisor, you could be a counsel person, you know, where you just provide that counsel that is gonna, you know, make you know, help people get the things that they need, you know, and so whatever you do, if you do it properly, and you have appreciation for people, and you provide the best, you do your best for them, things will you'll be rewarded. You know, you'll be rewarded, and I think it just comes from up above. You know, that's
And I completely agree because you know, I say this to a lot of people and I mean it. It's that like 5 years ago I wasn't like this. And I think that's crazy because when I have that conversation with people, it they don't see it. It doesn't make sense for them. But you know, I understand the other side of reality too.
right.
And so like, you know, there's a lot of hard times, panic, stress, doing illegal things, like all of the stuff that's you kind of become desensitized as you grow up about it. I'm sorry, grow up around it, and it becomes the norm. Everybody's doing it. It's
Mm-hmm.
overly glorified with like hip hop music and like all this other stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
So what's crazy is you start to enjoy it too. But what fascinates me is the fact that like I can go from living like that to also changing it up and being like, because something made me crave stability. Something made me crave having a solid foundation. And I don't know what it was other than the fact that I feel like when I grew up, it was always shaky. But I got good at it. So I made the decision while I was still in good standing. But it wasn't like something that I personally, I made the decision, I chose God. No, no, no. I feel like I was led to him
Mm-hmm.
in a series of ways that I couldn't really explain, but I knew what was happening, so it just made me feel crazy all the time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and it shows. That's why, you know, when you feel that, when you have that sense that he's with you, right, and people will see that there's an aura, you know, and I can understand some people will not believe, some people will not, because they have to see things, you know, they have to experience things themselves. That's normal too. That doesn't make them any less important to him, or a lesser human being. You know, as long as you do good by people, then you're good. You know, you see things a different way, that's acceptable. You know, and some people are just, you know, just straight out excellent people, you know, excellent human beings, you know, and they, you know, they provide, you know, good things for you know, they provide a lot of good for other people, and they get good too. So they don't have to agree, or they don't have to see things the way we see them, you know, but we do understand them too. You know, we do understand, you know, that some people just don't believe, or some people just see things differently. That's okay too. You know, they don't have to agree with everything that we feel.
And you know, so like I do have a pretty good understanding all this stuff. And I feel like it's also very important to cater to the people on here who don't necessarily like care about that stuff. You have to have a base, but there's also another thing to be said honestly is you have to be able to do it without the visuals. So follow me on this. The Bible says walk by faith not by sight. So that's a really crazy. I mean, you can say it out loud, right? Anything sounds good.
Mhm.
You can word it masterfully, it'll sound beautiful. But the practicality, the execution of it
Mhm.
is terrifying. Like
Right.
it's insane.
Mhm.
But you have to be able to like, and you said nobody starts off running. So you do it in baby steps. Okay, step right
Mhm.
there, step right there.
Mhm.
But like while God is watching, including God, and he'll be around you the whole time. He's also gonna be there to prevent things that would have like knocked you off balance or like, break your stride.
Mhm.
He's always going to be a part of that. He's always going to be a part of everyone's life. So there's a couple things that may sound scary, but in actuality, God is a very kind and compassionate God. Don't get me wrong. Like he has his moments where he's like like he's entitled to be mad. He's entitled to do whatever he sees fit. He's holy, he's just. None of us will be able to ever understand what it's like to be on that level trying to raise a Richie, raise an Allen, like we're just his children. But at the same token, he's not unjust and he is merciful. So if he sees that you got too much, you're gonna have to kind of trust in the fact that he gave you as much because he knows what he's trying to get out of you, and he knows that eventually you're gonna be able to handle the weight without complaining, and also be able to look up and be like, "Thank you, God."
Yeah, well, the things that we are provided as human beings, the sun, the water that we need, the rain that we need, the plants that grow, the fruits that we eat, you know, all those things are given to us. Now we pay for that, right? Because somebody has to plant
Especially in
the
California,
yeah,
boys.
somebody has to plant the trees, plant the seed to to have that tree grow and have the fruit. Somebody has to harvest, so there's an effort there that needs to be rewarded, right? But in essence, it's basically given to us,
Hmm.
and we as humans we cannot produce a single pound of food or fruit. We can multiply it, right?
Hmm.
Because the process is there. It's the natural process that people call it, nature. Yeah, but there is somebody that governs that, that takes control of that. So that's, little things like that. When we realize that, then we feel spoiled, in a way. When you realize that all those things are a certainty. We know for a fact that we're gonna have summer, we're gonna have winter, we're gonna have the spring, right? All those things, right? And then if you make the effort every single day to do your best and trust in yourself and in God, then you get your way. As long as you do, you're doing good things, not evil, right? We don't want evil.
Of course not. Yeah, and I think that like for the sake of the podcast,
Hmm.
you know, I'm just gonna say a couple more words, then we can move on because
Sure,
I know you got to get out of
sure.
here.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
But so like God is he's a provider. He's gonna provide for you, and like he was saying that like it's already been provided for us,
Yeah.
right? Nature, water, weather, rain, like even the air that you breathe.
Yeah. Bare necessities.
You know what I'm saying? Like it
Yeah.
was all there from the very start.
Yeah.
You're mad because you don't got a Lamborghini in the garage, but it's like it's not about the Lamborghini, bro. If you were to take the you that's you now and put you in that Lamborghini, you would still be the person who deserves to drive that Honda. But if you allow God into the process, He will take the you and He will transform you into the version that deserves to be in that Lamborghini. I'm not saying like God's gonna give you a Lamborghini
Well, if you work for it, if
if
you
you
can
work for
afford
it.
it, there's nothing wrong with having fancy things. There's
No, no,
nothing wrong.
no. But like I'm saying,
Yeah.
he's gonna take the you now. He's like, okay, you want a Lamborghini, but I'm gonna take you and I'm gonna transform everything about you so that way once you're in that Lamborghini, it's not gonna spoil you. It's not going to like cause you to fall.
Yeah. Get you off your feet. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's gonna be like, all right, bet. Now I'm gonna put you through the process that's gonna get you that Lamborghini if it's in God's will. Let's be honest.
Right. No. Yeah. He's gonna bring things that are gonna do you good. And
Exactly.
if having a Lamborghini is gonna be good for you, then so be it. He'll give it to you. Of course, you have to be able to afford it, right? You have to be able
Right.
to. And if you can, there's nothing wrong with that.
Of course not. There's people who are walking, there's people who are like using bikes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm more saying is like
Yeah.
it's the person inside of you that
It's your character what counts, right?
exactly
Yeah.
that God's gonna alter. He can give you a freaking Lamborghini at any time.
Mm-hmm.
if he wants. But like, you think he's gonna give you a Lamborghini and like you still over here like yelling at the waitress anytime you go to a restaurant? Like,
Right.
he's gonna be
Yeah.
like, nah, bro, like chill, I got you. You want that Lamborghini? Cool. Give us some
Yeah.
time, but stay with me, stay around
Yeah.
me.
He'll bring things as they are fit for you. As as he sees fit for you at the stage where you're at. Uh, it could be doing well in your studies, at work, being rewarded, being recognized, and then with recognition, maybe money coming along. So all these things are combined with a good character, with a good person, with a strong, hardworking person.
100% agree. No doubt in my mind. That's why, like, and it's tough, but like, I put my trust in God. You know,
Yeah, yeah. That's we all need to do that. Yeah, and it's the best thing you can do because then you release yourself of the load of the pressure that you don't have to be perfect. That's when we go wrong, when we think that we have to be perfect, and then we get that extra pride when we do things that are good or excellent, and then we fool ourselves into thinking that it's all what I did. It's just that ego. And when you do that, when you just let go of the load, then you free up yourself. You do your best, and then he brings things into reality for you.
right? Because like, you're gonna get the Lamborghini, and you're gonna be like, ah, Instagram flexing, aha, bam, bam, bam. And you're just wilding, and the guy's like, all right, let me take that back from you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sometimes not having things is better for you. Sometimes if it's gonna get you off track. You know.
Ruin you. It could
Yeah,
ruin
it
you.
could. Yeah, it could. So yeah, yeah. Riches tend to do that if people don't have a good hardcore. You know.
100% agree. So, and like, I want to go back to the real estate topic
Sure.
because I really feel like, you have a lot to add to the
Sure.
conversation. But just for the sake of time
Yeah.
constraints, I wanted to say, what are some of the most important details for the people who are looking to get into that hustle?
Well, knowing what to expect. If you're going to be a flipper, there is a lot of stress behind that. Construction is a very stressful field. Because it's making something that people will want to buy, or the customer will want to do to his home, right? So the end result and the process, going through that process, you know knowing what to expect, not having too much of a high expectancy, and then be disappointed. Know your numbers. Basically, if you know that you're going to buy the home, let's say at 200, let's say 200,000, you're going to put in 50,000, right, of rehab. You have to know that the market is going to have a threshold, a limit, right? So it could be a high end of 400, right? Then you're profitable, right? Then you go on to the next project. If you're going to buy something long term, you have to know, like I say, just be connected with people that are the real, that are in the industry, that are knowledgeable, and they have a good track record of helping investors, right? If you're going to be a first time buyer, just be guided. Just ask the right person. It's very hard nowadays because there's a lot of things online. There's a lot of people that dare to say things that are not really true. And it's
Mhm.
very hard to find truth nowadays. People are online. It's like you search something. There's no validation on what the results are. It used to be in the old days where people would verify that the things that were put out there.
1 second. Bam. We're good. We're all good.
You want to introduce or something like
No, no, you're good.
that? Okay.
No.
So yeah, like I was saying, there's finding truth in the market is very important. you know uh, and just let yourself be guided by that person. Just trust that person, trust his knowledge, right? Some people, what they do is that they listen to too many people that are they just make it, they just have an opinion on everything that they say or everything that they come across. It's like, oh, don't buy because you know what, it's not worth it. It's you're gonna pay more. Yes, you're never gonna pay the same that you pay in rent when you buy a home. It's always gonna be a few $100s higher, right? But guess what? There's gonna be a time where it could be 2 or 5 years where the rents are gonna be higher than what you pay in
Mm,
mortgage because your mortgage stays the same. You see, rents don't stay the same, and that's if you're lucky to have a job where you can, be at the same location. But the minute, even if you have a low paying rent, right, a low rent, the minute you have to move because you have a job relocation, then you have to adjust high. You have to go up on unless you buy a real, something that's smaller in an area where you don't want to be, right? So
let's be honest. Location sometimes is like
it's
it's what you can afford.
there's that saying, location, location, location. You could have a tiny shack in Beverly Hills. It's going to be worth $1 million, right?
It's a shack though.
It's a shack, but it's in
Yeah,
Beverly Hills, right?
yeah.
Or you could have a 4 bedroom home in an area where maybe it's not so fancy. Well, yeah. So it's location, location. Safety is expensive. Quietness is expensive. You
Hmm.
want to when you have that, we can walk around, with walk your dog and be safe, and know that nothing's, things happen everywhere, right? But it's very unlikely that it's going to happen to you. So people pay for that, right? So it's being informed, but being informed by the right people, not just what you get as a result of a search online. There's no verification on that.
Don't just trust that dude off of YouTube. The fake gurus, don't just trust that TikTok video. Like actually do the research and talk to somebody who knows.
Yeah, there you go. A lot of young people, I see what they're going through, because, you know, I don't want to say the platforms, I don't want to, say it by names, right? But there's a lot of information that's being thrown to people that's not realistic. It's just basically make believe, just to create some followers, and have more of an exposure, and sometimes maybe just to be profitable, But you if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be a doctor, you have to be with people that are in the medical field, right? You have to ask those people. If your car breaks down, you're not going to go to a doctor to ask about your car, right? He's not going to know,
Hmm.
right? Or he might have an opinion on that, but he's going to be an opinion, right? So the same thing with real estate. If you want to buy, or if you just want to know, ask the right people. Ask the professional. And you have to make a judgment on what you're being given as information. Even from that person that you're contacting, right? So, but just trusting that whatever is online is truthful is not the way to go. You have to be. It's human beings. We need that person to person touch.
Hmm.
We need that. There's a way of feeling truthfulness when people speak. When people talk, when people give you the information and it's true. It makes you feel comfortable, and so that's what you want. You just don't want to trust and be fearful about making the decision. You might not even make it. You just stay the same, but at least you know that you made an informed decision.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
And it's due to the fact that you feel like you can trust the person who's giving out that
Exactly,
information.
exactly. So be with professionals. Hit out. Reach out to professionals. Whatever field you need information on. If you're overweight and you wanna become fit. You hit the right trainer. Uh, you start dieting, doing the right set of exercises, and it's the same thing. In life, it's basically we need to rely on people that have done, or have been through, or at least have knowledge of what you need to be assessed with.
Yeah, and what you're trying to accomplish.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, you want to build a home.
You talk to Pure Energy.
There you go.
You need electricity in that home?
There you
You
go.
talk to
That's
Alan.
you want to buy, rent, invest, or whatever. You hit me. But yeah, you go with the expert. That's what you do, and you just trust him. And I remember when I was going to college, I have my AS degree. The instructors would say, this is how what you're going to be facing.
Mhm.
And they said you're going to go from a poverty level to middle income, right? And I was only a 21 year old kid, so I didn't know. But I trusted. I trusted the fact that they had been through it, and it was true. When I got my first job and my income went from it just tripled. That's what you do. You just trust. I was fearful, just like everybody else.
Mhm.
I was fearful that it might not become a reality for me. So that's what you do. You just trust the right person, reach out to the right person on anything that you need to be assessed with, finances or anything like that.
So I know that there's a lot of people who are probably wondering this question, right? Because we're talking about real estate, we're talking about flipping houses, doing this, talking to the right guys. Now, the real question is, where does credit fall into play? Like, what about the people who got like no credit? They got bad credit. Like,
Okay, well, credit is basically the the way you relate to debt. All right, we live in a society where there is over 300 million people in the USA, right? So the banks want to know the only way to gauge how good you are at paying back what you borrow is with your credit history, right? And so they rely on that. But don't be too concerned with that. If you work your credit where you have three lines of credit, right? And they don't have to be high balance. They can be, $1,000 each. It could be a store, credit card, or it could be a personal credit card, or a personal line of credit, or a personal loan, or a car. Which I don't recommend that you buy a new car because it's going to take you too long to pay it back, and then it might affect the amount of loan that you get.
not to mention it depreciates in value.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you could buy a brand new car when you can afford it cash.
Hmm.
That's when I recommend that you buy a brand new car. You know, now banks will use your credit history, and believe it or not, it doesn't take that long to build credit. It only takes about 6 months of having three lines of credit
Hmm.
open. And what I recommend that people do is that they use 30% of their balance of their credit availability. So let's say you get a credit card for $1,000, only use 300 of that, and pay it on time, right? Pay it on time every month for 6 months, and you'll build credit enough to be able to qualify for a house. That's eventually the goal. That stops. For cars is you could but if you want to hit that goal where you want to be able to set yourself up to be able to buy a home, right? We only need 640 points to be able to pre-approve you for a loan, right?
Hmm.
And so if you work your credit like that, where you use only 30% of your line of credit or your max, right? And you pay it every month for 6 months, your credit will go up really, really fast. Now, I recommend that people don't fall in love with the FICO score, okay? Because they use it as a gauge of how good you are. Some people think that having a good credit will make you acceptable, and it's like a standard of social status, basically.
Yeah, it is definitely not a
No, no,
social credit score.
no. Yes, it's not a status. It's not a social status. Benchmark. It's not that. It's just a way for people to be able to access funds from the system, right? So as long as you're able to, let's say, buy that car, if you really need to buy a new car, or from the dealer, we all have to do that sometimes, and so, but as long as you have 640 points, you'll be able to qualify for a loan for a home, right? And then once you buy a home, you don't have to worry about the credit anymore. You don't have to really fight for that, because owning a home is actually the best credit benchmark that you could get. The banks will actually lend you money, with better terms, and of course for a car too,
Hmm.
right? So Don't stick to, oh, I need that, I have 700, 800. It doesn't matter. It's just going to change a little bit of the interest rate that the bank is going to charge you. As long as if you're above 640, anywhere between 640 and 750, you're good enough for the bank. The bank needs to lend that money because they can't have it sit, inside the bank wherever, because they're losing money. Their work is, their job is to move that money around so that people use it. It comes back with a higher interest. And so, what I say to people, don't worry too much about credit. If you run it like that, in 6 to 8 months, you'll have enough credit to be able to afford a home or a car.
So stop being scared, y'all. Go get you guys a
Yeah,
house. We
yeah.
all know you're tired of living in your mom's basement.
Yeah, yeah, it's you have a little bit more freedom to do, things
Right.
that you might not be able to do when you have, with your living with your parents. But it
Oh
takes
yeah, yeah,
time. It takes time. I mean, don't feel bad. We go through that stage.
no, no, no.
You
I
know,
mean,
we
yeah, yeah, for sure. I'm just more saying that, like, take the initiative, do what you got to do, because like, no one's gonna do it for you, but nothing's stopping you either.
Yeah, that's the way. That's you want to build that history, but don't fall in love with the FICO score. Don't idolize it. It's just a
Yeah.
means of being able to get the finances that you need to buy the things that you want or that you need.
Right, because the first second you take something out on in payments, it's gonna drop, and you're gonna have, you're gonna have your heart broken. You're like, oh,
Yeah, 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 yeah. You want to invest in things that go up in value. Now we need a means to get to places, right? But you could get a good, secondhand car, something that's 2 years old, or, that you could buy a cars that are, that 6 months after they leave the dealership, you could get it almost as half the price that you would get it from the yeah.
what?
Yeah, a lot of it's see.
Link in the bio. No, I'm just playing. I'm just.
Yeah, yeah. I've been to auctions where people, these cars are only, they only have like 6,000 miles on them, and it's something that would be at the dealership for 30,000. You could get it for like 15 or 16,000. So you could do that.
quick,
Yeah,
quick,
yeah. It's just
quick.
making wise financial decisions. That's gonna let you keep the money that you need, and be able to buy the things that you want at a better price, or more like a little bit, in a smart way, where you actually build some finances.
Yeah, and you know what that means, y'all? That means there's more money for you guys to eat chicken tendies at the house while you're watching Netflix.
Yeah, just relax with popcorn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So, is there anything else you want to say on the
No,
podcast?
I appreciate you having me here.
Dude, totally. And one thing I do want to also tell you guys is that remember how he said that he went through college and like even then he was still kind of fearful, right?
Yeah,
He took those chances, and because of it he was able to see opportunities that I'm pretty sure would have probably come around a lot later
yeah.
for you if you had not just gone for it.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. And education will open up doors for you. And it doesn't have to be, some people cannot go to college because whatever the situation is, but you become an expert at what you do. Okay. If you work for a company, you could go up the ladder. You do a good job, and then you create that good rapport with people that work at the company, and you take the next chance that's available for you. It doesn't have to be educational. As long as you have that drive, to be able to excel. Even if it's, if you're a salesperson, you do, you set goals to yourself, and you get those goals, meet those goals, and you go to the next step. That's what you do. Some people are academically oriented, some people are more business oriented, some people are more service oriented, and they make enough income, to be able to have a good life. And so there's a lot of things that you could do, right? Just do your best every day, and improve on the things the service that you provide.
Yeah, I agree with everything he's saying. I also want to say, don't hang around your boys and let them talk you out of it. They probably don't have the mind to do it because like there's probably stuff in their path that is not allowing them to see a clear path. Don't let them change your mind on stuff. If you want the life, if you can visualize a life that you want, sometimes you might have to sit down a bit, right? But if you can visualize it, go for it, right? It's it's there. It's in the realm of possibilities. It's part of the conversation, you know. So like, but don't let somebody else deter you with some stuff that you want to accomplish in your life. Because look at it. I'm 30 years old now, right? But there's conversations that I had with friends like many moons ago where I was thinking, oh man, these guys are going to be in my life forever. And then they're not. And, you know, for better, for worse, doesn't matter. But like, they're just not a part of it anymore. And then you look at it like, well, damn, like if I would have known this was going to, like, it wasn't going to always be the case, who knows what I could have potentially been, you know, thinking about to push me in those right directions. So by the time I'm 30, I land right, you know, I hit the ground running. So like, don't let people talk you out of what you got going on in your head. They don't think like you. They don't move like you. They're just not you, and that's
Everybody
perfectly
takes their own
fine.
path. Everybody eventually everybody will take their own path. On the decisions that they make, be it good or bad. And the amount of effort that they put into it, it's going to lead them to whatever they need to be.
I agree. You know. Well, so I think that's gonna be it. I want to say, you know, thank you, Alan, for coming on the show, man.
Thank you.
It was definitely a pleasure, and I like the fact that we're even able to talk about God a little bit. You
Oh
know.
yeah, definitely.
So you know, one thing I want to do. I don't always do this, but I want to do it just because you know I got everything in front of me right now. Is I want to say a prayer. I want to pray us out.
Yeah.
So I want to say, dear Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus Christ, I want to say thank you for today. Thank you for all the blessings that you know we take for granted, but I always know that you do care about us and you provide for us no matter what. So even those blessings that we forget to say thank you for, I want to recognize, I want to acknowledge you for those and say thank you. You know, please forgive us for our transgressions, for all of the ways that we don't know we sin against you, but you still find it in your heart to show us mercy and compassion. Maybe we can begin to forgive the people who have, you know, transgressed against us, and that we can, you know, restore all of the love in the world again in the name of Jesus Christ, you know. So I also want to say, you know, for all of my peoples out there, or all of my brothers and sisters who are going through struggles in life, I pray that you just give them the capacity to find you, and in order for you to put your hand over their situations, and may you just guide them, you know, keep us all humble, keep us all relaxed, but you know, may you never give us too much that's going to be too much, and may you never give us too little that's going to be too little. So I pray for all my brothers and my sisters, please protect us from the evil one, and in the mighty name of Jesus Christ I say amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, so I hope you guys have a great day. I'll talk to you later, and yeah, check out the podcast. I told you what I aim on. You hear me where the damn from. Look what it's become. I'm so calm, I'm so calm. I'm so calm, I'm so calm. I told you what I aim on. You hear me where the damn from. Look what it's become. I'm so calm, I'm so calm. I'm so calm.